The sound of breathing was all that remained, not voices, not machines, not hope, deep beneath the ground. An old alien named Corlon reached for the last working console. His fingers trembled. The message was short. "Help us, Deathworlders. You are our last hope." Then silence. Would anyone listen? Corlon could barely see through the dust. The once great city of Varelia, filled with light and song, was now a graveyard of rubble and fire. Above him, the world had collapsed. Below, he sat alone, hidden in the final shelter that still had power. His species, the Varelians, were peaceful, too peaceful. They had built gardens instead of armies, poetry instead of weapons. When the Kryn Empire came, peace. The Kryn answered with fire. Corlon was a technician, old, slow, and not a warrior. But he knew how to send a signal, and right now, that was the only thing he could do. He wiped blood from his brow and leaned over the blinking console. Most of the satellites were gone, communications destroyed. The message had to be short, too short for begging, too short for history, just truth. He typed with aching fingers to the Deathworlders. "If you can hear us, we beg for your help. The Kryn are killing us all. You are our last hope." He hesitated, then added, "We are not fighters, but we want to live, please." With a weak breath, he pressed send. The light blinked once, then died forever. Of light years away, on a planet called Earth, deep inside the Sol Defense headquarters. A red alert blinked across a dark screen. "Uncoded alien transmission detected," said a soft voice in the control room. Admiral Lena Stone stood still, hands behind her back staring at the display. Her silver hair caught the blue light of the monitor. She was known across Earth's colonies as a commander, with no fear in, no mercy. "Source?" she asked. "Deep sector beyond Kryn Empire borders," replied Lieutenant Harris. "The signal is weak." But it was sent directly to Earth, not the Galactic Council. That was unusual. Most species sent their pleas for help to the Council, not Earth, not the Deathworlders. No one asked them first, not unless they were truly desperate. "Put it on audio," Lena said. The room fell quiet. A cracked voice echoed through the chamber. "Help us, Deathworlders. You are our last hope." The words were simple. The tone was raw. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then Lena nodded. "Track the signal's source. I want eyes on that system." "Yes, ma'am," Harris replied, fingers dancing across his console. Behind them, the Earth Fleet Command was waking up. Warships were fueled. Crews were summoned. Something had stirred the sleeping lions of Earth. In orbit above Earth, the HSS Warhammer began powering its systems. It was not a ship built for peace. No gardens, no artwork, just titanium walls, nuclear engines, and weapons strong enough to split a moon. Captain Juno Blake stood on the bridge, watching the data scroll on her screen. "So," she muttered, "someone had the guts to call for us." Her first officer, Commander Reyes, raised an eyebrow. "They called us Deathworlders. Guess they know the stories." "They always do," Juno said with a faint smirk. "That name wasn't ours. The galaxy gave it to us because Earth was dangerous. Its storms, beasts, and climate shaped hard. People, survivors, fighters. The kind of people who didn't beg for peace, they made it. But today, someone else had begged, and Earth had heard it. Prep the jump engines," she ordered. "We're heading to Varelia, on the other side of the galaxy." The Kryn General Threx stood inside the ruins of a burning temple. His soldier-style gray-skinned warriors marched through the smoke, hunting survivors. "Status?" Threx asked. "All major cities destroyed," replied his officer. "Small signals detected underground, but no real resistance." Threx clicked his jaws together in satisfaction. Varelians were always soft. Too weak to survive. Should we finish the sweep? Threx looked to the horizon. Burn the forests, crush their farms, leave nothing. He turned his back to the destruction. To him, this was just another victory. But above the sky, beyond what his sensors could see, something had changed. Back on Earth, the Security Council gathered inside a steel chamber deep under Geneva. "Why should we answer this signal?" asked Counselor Hart. "We have no alliance with the "They asked us, not the Council," replied Admiral Stone. "They know the Council would vote for weeks. We don't take votes. We take action." "But we risk war with the Kryn," said another voice. They're already at war. Stone snapped, they just haven't met us yet. The room grew silent. Dispatch the fleet, said the president, standing. Let the galaxy remember what happens when you cry for help. And Earth answers. Inside the Warhammer, Captain Juno looked out the window as stars blurred past. Message from the fleet. Captain, said Reyes, 9 ships confirmed, all jumping with us. Earth's finest. Good, she said softly. There were no speeches, no cameras, no music, just a simple message sent out into space. We heard you. Corlin lay still in the dark. His breath was weak. He had not eaten in days. The console was dead. He wondered if anyone had received his message, or if it had vanished like everything else. He thought of his daughter, his city, his home, his eyes. Closed. Then, faintly. The ground trembled. Not like before, not from explosions. No, this was different. A low, humming sound. Like engines. Then a voice in the dark, speaking in a language his translator barely understood. This is Captain Juno Blake of Earth. We received your signal. You're not alone anymore, Corlin gasped. His eyes opened. Tears ran down his cracked cheeks. They had come. The Deathworlders had come. A soft beep echoed in the dark command center. The signal had been real, not a ghost, not a trick. On Earth, inside the Sol Defense Corps, officers stared at the alien message. Help us, Deathworlders. You are our last hope. It played again, and again. Some turned away. Others leaned closer. But one thing was clear. Someone out there was dying, and they had called for the monsters Earth had become, deep beneath Earth's surface. Hidden below the Swiss mountains, Sol Defense Command. Buzzed with activity? Dozens of officers, scientists, and Tactical A is moved like a machine. Earth was quiet, but only on the surface. The moment the alien transmission reached them, everything changed. Admiral Lena Stone stood at the center of the war room, her sharp eyes locked on the holoscreen. The message from Virelia played again. Short, direct, desperate. Any updates? She asked, her voice calm but commanding. Lieutenant Harris adjusted the zoom on the galactic map. Source confirmed. Outer system, planet name, Virelia. Agricultural, peaceful, no military force worth noting. Mostly forests, cities, and temples. Reports say the Kryn Empire attacked it 3 cycles ago, and the signal, Stone asked, directed only to Earth, not the Council. Not other species. Only us. The room went quiet again. Stone turned to the group of advisors behind her. Thoughts? Dr. Amelia Jong, one of Earth's senior xenopsychologists, stepped forward. Virelians were known for peace. They avoided war, trusted diplomacy. If they reached out to us, they must have lost everything. Counselor Wraith from Earth's central government cleared his throat. This could be a trap. The Kryn might be baiting us. We're Deathworlders, Stone said coldly. We don't run from traps. We tear them apart. The room nodded silently. Above Earth, 9 massive warships prepared for deployment. The Warhammer, the Tempest, and the legendary HSS Knight powered up their reactors. Docking arms pulled away. Lights blinked green across every deck. Inside the Warhammer, Captain Juno Blake stood with her crew, watching the system data scroll. Is it true? Asked Ensign Milla, barely more than 20. They sent the message only to us. Juno nodded. They knew who would respond fast. But we're not the heroes, Milla whispered. Juno didn't smile. No, we're the punishment. In the briefing room of the Warhammer, Commander Reyes pointed at the holographic map. Virelia's orbit is unstable. The Kryn destroyed most of its satellites. We'll have to blind jump to the outer system and approach under stealth mode. He tapped the red circle representing Kryn territory. They have a destroyer group nearby. If they detect us, they might. Try to intercept before we land. Juno crossed her arms. We won't wait, the message said. They're dying. We go fast, we go silent, and we go ready. On the bridge of the Kryn destroyer, Bloodfang Captain Dresch reviewed intercepted data. Strange, he growled, his sharp mandibles clicking. One of the Virelians activated a signal beacon. It sent a message, but not to their council. To whom then? Asked his second-in-command to Earth. The room went still. Deathworlders, the second whispered. They are primitive. Loud, violent, Dresch snarled. They are dangerous, the other replied. You've heard the stories. I don't fear beasts, Dresh hissed. If they come, we'll crush them too. But something in his voice trembled. Back in Earth's orbit, the warships moved into position. Warp gates opened in deep space, swirling with white-blue energy. Each ship's commander received the final order. Your mission? Confirm the Viralia distress signal. Rescue any survivors. If Kryn presence is confirmed, engage with extreme prejudice. Admiral Stone stood on the command deck, watching each ship vanish into warp. Deathworlders. Answer, she whispered. The stars stretched like lines as the Warhammer jumped into hyperspace. Inside, every hallway echoed with silence. Soldiers prepped their gear. Medics organized trauma bays. Pilots ran last-minute flight tests. Captain Juno sat alone in her quarters, reading the transcript again. We are not fighters, but we want to live, please. She closed her eyes. Earth had once begged 2 centuries ago, during the Collapse Wars. No one had come for them. They had survived alone. Hardened. Changed. That was why Earth never ignored a cry for help. 2 days later, the fleet dropped from warp at the edge of the Viralia system. Smoke trails curled in space. Broken satellites drifted silently. A shattered moon spun slowly, its pieces scattered like bones. On the Warhammer's bridge, Commander Reyes whistled. Looks like hell. Scan for survivors, Juno ordered. Thermal signatures detected on surface. Deep underground. Weak but alive. Any Kryn ships? Not yet, but comes traffic, is active. We're not alone. Juno stood. Prep the dropships. We're going in. Corlan opened his eyes slowly. He was still alive, but barely. His skin was pale, his body weak. Food was gone. Water, too. Then something strange happened. The air shifted. A low rumble echoed above. Dust fell from the ceiling. Not an explosion, but a sound like engines. Then a sharp hiss. The shelter door opened. Light flooded the chamber. And then boots. Heavy, powerful, human. A figure stepped in, covered in armor, face hidden behind a sleek helmet. Corlan coughed. Are you real? The voice from the helmet replied. Corlan wept in orbit. The rest of the fleet reported similar rescues. Survivors pulled from tunnels, children carried to safety, medics working non-stop. But joy turned to tension fast. Captain Reyes said Kryn signals detected. 2 destroyers. Inbound ETA, 45 minutes. Juno didn't flinch. Good. She turned to her crew. We didn't come all this way to play rescue. They hit civilians, they burned cities, they hunted poets and priests. She looked out the window at Viralia. Below, let's show them what happens when you call Deathworlders. The air was still. Too still. Viralia's forests had fallen silent. No birds, no wind, no voices. Then a shadow moved in the sky. It wasn't Kryn this time. A human dropship roared above the trees, black, wide, and silent as death. The survivors looked up in fear. Then hope had the monsters from Earth really come to help. Captain Juno Blake stood at the open ramp of the Warhammer's lead dropship, staring down at the ruined world below. Burned forests, crushed towers. Lifeless rivers looks worse than the reports, Commander Reyes muttered beside her. Juno nodded slowly. And this is what's left after the Kryn left. Behind them, 10 armored Marines locked their rifles, ready to deploy. The dropship trembled as it passed through the upper atmosphere. Outside, smoke curled up from shattered cities. Entire regions looked as if they'd been torn open by giant claws. Pilot, Juno said into her comes, find us a landing zone near that deep signal marker. That's where most survivors are coming from. I, ma'am, touchdown in 3 minutes. Corlan leaned against the rough stone wall of the shelter. His chest ached with every breath. Around him, a small group of survivors sat in silence, elders, children, and wounded Viralians who had managed to escape the worst of the attack. He had told them the message had been sent. But no one believed Earth would answer. Deathworlders. One young alien whispered, voice hoarse, aren't they dangerous? Corlan nodded slowly. Yes, but sometimes danger is the only thing evil understands. Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep, pulsing hum filled the air. Everyone froze. Then light cut through the ceiling, cracks bright and white, not red like Kryn fire. Corlan felt it in his bones. They came, he whispered. They really came. Human dropship hovered above the broken clearing, pushing away dust and debris. Hydraulic legs slammed down with a heavy thud, and the side ramp lowered with a sharp hiss of air. Armored figures stepped out, weapons drawn, scanning every direction, but there were no enemies, only silence, ruins, and frightened eyes peeking. From behind broken walls, Juno stepped forward, her helmet removed, revealing a scarred but calm face. Her voice carried authority. "We're from Earth. We got your message. We're here to help." No one moved at first. Then a child stepped out, thin, trembling eyes wide. Juno knelt. "What's your name, Elena? Are you hurt?" The girl shook her head. Juno smiled gently and tapped her cum. "We've made contact. Survivors. Confirmed." Medical teams move in. One by one, the broken Varelians came out. Not to cheer, but to stare. Some cried, some fell to their knees. Others simply touched the armored humans, unsure if they were real. Over the next 2 hours, human medics set up field clinics. Engineers restored emergency power. Drones scanned the skies for signs of Kryn ships. Juno sat beside Corlan, who now rested on a stretcher. "You sent the signal?" she asked. "Yes," he whispered. "I didn't think anyone would answer." "Why us?" He smiled weakly. "Because when you say no, it means never again." Juno leaned back. "You've been watching us. We all have. Deathworlders. Monsters, warriors, but also protectors." She didn't argue. Corlan looked at her with tired eyes. "You don't act like heroes." "We're not." "Then what are you?" Juno's answer was quiet. Necessary. High above Varelia, alarms blared inside the HSS Nightwolf. "Kryn destroyers detected," shouted the sensor officer. 2 ships, fast approach, arming weapons. Admiral Stone, watching from orbit via command uplink, issued orders without hesitation. "All ships combat alert. Shields up. Don't fire unless they do, but if they shoot first, burn them." Inside the Kryn lead ship, Captain Dresch growled at the view of human warships orbiting Varelia. "They came," he hissed. Earth answered. His second-in-command frowned. "Our orders were to finish off Varelia, not start a war with Earth." Dresch's eyes narrowed. "They think they can scare us. Let's show them Kryn firepower." The Kryn destroyers opened fire first. Twin plasma beams shot toward the Nightwolf. But before the blast reached halfway, Earth's fleet responded, and their answer was terrifying. The Nightwolf launched a full spread of kinetic missiles, followed by railgun bursts from the Tempest and fusion lances from the Warhammer. The first Kryn ship didn't even have time to react. It exploded in silence, its debris scattering like confetti. The second tried to run, but a human fighter squadron caught it mid-turn. 3 minutes later, nothing remained of the Kryn attack. On the ground, Corlan looked up as the sky flashed. "What was that?" he asked. "Juno's cum beeped," Reyes reported. "Kryn destroyed. 0 survivors. No damage to us." Juno looked down at Corlan. "Justice." But Corlan shook his head. "No, not justice. Warning." She nodded. "They won't stop here, will they?" he asked. "No," she said, "but neither will we. Later." That night, the survivors gathered near a small fire. Human soldiers stood nearby, quiet, respectful. They were not here to celebrate. Not yet. Corlan stood slowly, supported by a young medic. "I want to thank you," he said to Juno. "You don't need to," she replied. "I do. You didn't know us. You didn't owe us anything." "We're from Earth," Juno said. "We remember what it's like to be alone," he nodded. "Will you leave now?" Juno looked at the distant stars. "Not yet. We'll protect your people. We'll rebuild your world. And the Kryn," she looked him in the eyes. "We'll find them far away in a dark room on the Kryn homeworld." General Savik watched the battle footage. A single human fleet had wiped out their destroyers in seconds. Savik clenched his claws. "They've arrived." A whisper ran through the war chamber. "The Deathworlders." The room fell silent. The wind over Varelia was calm. To calm, then, without warning, the sky screamed. "Enemy ships detected," shouted the human sensors. The Kryn had returned, and this time they weren't scouting. They came to finish the job. But Earth's soldiers were still on the ground, survivors to protect, wounded to save, and time was running out. Captain Juno Blake stood at the edge of the ruined temple, her eyes scanning the sky. She felt it before she saw it. The strange stillness, the pressure in the air, the way birds had vanished. Something was wrong. Commander Reyes ran to her side, face pale. "We've got a problem." "How big?" she asked. "Big enough." He handed her a tablet. Enemy signals bright, red blinked across the screen. 4 Kryn cruisers had just dropped out of warp. Larger than the first attack group, heavily armed. "They didn't wait long," Juno muttered. "No," Reyes said, "and they're heading straight for us." High above, on the bridge of the HSS Nightwolf, Admiral Lena Stone watched the tactical display. The Kryn fleet was coming in fast. "Shields up. Lock all weapons," she ordered. The crew moved quickly, no panic in their movements. They had trained. For this, "Any communication from the Kryn?" she asked. "None," said the comms officer. "No demands. No warnings." Stone's lips tightened. "They think they can scare us into running," she said coldly. She turned to her weapons officer. "Remind them who we are." In orbit, Earth's fleet began to shift formation. The Warhammer, Tempest, Nightwolf, and 6 more ships moved together like a giant wall of steel. Fighters launched. Missile silos opened. Plasma coils hummed. But the Kryn ships didn't slow. Instead, they began firing. Bright streaks of red and green sliced through space. "Direct hit on Shield Grid Alpha," shouted a tech aboard the Tempest. "Shields holding," came the reply. Admiral Stone stood firm. "Target their lead ship. Fire at will." On the ground, the sky lit up like lightning. The survivors stared upward in fear. Juno tapped her comm. "All defense teams battle stations. Get every civilian underground, now." Soldiers ran through the ruins, guiding wounded and children to safety. Drones flew overhead, scanning for incoming fire. A medic grabbed Juno's arm. "We can't. Move all of them in time." "Then we hold the line here," Juno said. Reyes looked up at the clouds. "They're coming too fast." She pulled her helmet on. "Then we hit them faster." Above, space erupted into chaos. Human fighters darted between Kryn cruisers, firing at engines, weapons, and hulls. Explosions lit the darkness. One Earth ship, the HSS Horizon, took a full blast to the side. Its shields cracked. Fires erupted along its hull. "We're losing power." The captain shouted, "Redirect all energy to weapons," came the command. A moment later, the Horizon fired its last Payload 6 fusion. Warheads straight into the enemy flagship. The blast shattered the Kryn ship into flaming pieces. One down on the ground, streaks of fire fell from the sky. Kryn troop transports. Enemy dropships incoming. A Marine shouted. Juno grabbed her rifle. "Defensive positions. Do not let them reach the survivors." The first Kryn landers slammed into the Earth, opening wide metal ramps. Dozens of tall, armored Kryn soldiers marched out with plasma rifles. They weren't expecting resistance. What they got was Earth's finest gunfire. Echoed through the ruins, human soldiers fought in tight squads, using cover, flanking, and precision. Kryn forces moved fast, but not smart. A Kryn commander charged forward with a growl. He never saw the grenade roll at his feet. "Boom! Nice throw!" Reyes shouted. "Thanks," replied Corporal Lane, "for more incoming on the east side." Juno turned to her team. "Keep them away from the shelters. If they break through, we lose everything." Corlin sat deep in the underground bunker, holding Lena close. The little girl looked up at him, frightened. "Will the Deathworlders win?" He gave a small smile. "They're not just fighting for us. They're fighting like it's their own world." Lena's eyes sparkled with hope. "Are they really that strong?" Corlin nodded. "Strong enough to scare the stars." Outside, the battle raged on. 3 Krynlanders exploded mid-air from anti-air blasts. Another crashed into a hillside, but some reached the ground and brought chaos with them. Juno's squad was pinned. "Down behind rubble, we're getting flanked," Reyes warned. Juno peeked around the corner. A Kryn group was moving to surround them. "We need to stop that squad or they'll reach the civilians." She looked at her rifle, almost empty. Then she looked at Reyes. "You trust me?" He gave a dry laugh. "With my life." Juno grabbed a plasma blade, pulled off her helmet, and charged. The Kryn never expected it. 1 human charging into 5 of them. Crazy, but in seconds, 2 were down. The other stumbled, surprised by her speed. Reyes and the others opened fire from behind, cutting them down, breathing hard. Juno looked back. Told you I had a plan. Reyes shook his head. You didn't say it was a suicide plan. She smirked. That's how you know it works. In orbit, Earth's fleet was holding but barely another Kryn cruiser exploded. But the Tempest took heavy damage. Hull breach, on Deck 5, the captain shouted. We can't take another hit. Admiral Stone stepped forward. Order. The Nightwolf to pull back. Focus fire on their last engine ship. If we take that out, the rest won't escape. Seconds later, a direct hit tore through the Kryn engine ship. Its core ignited in a white fireball. What was left of the Kryn fleet began to scatter. They're running, someone shouted. No, Stone said. They're retreating. On the surface, the Kryn ground soldiers received the order to pull back, but they never got the chance. Human Marines were already pressing forward, clearing every street, every alley. Every ruined Juno stood on a broken rooftop, covered in dust. Blood on her armor. Area secure. All Kryn units down, Reyes confirmed. Across Varelia, cheers slowly began to rise. Not wild, but real. Later that night, Juno stood at the edge of the camp, watching stars blink in the sky. Corlin walked up beside her. You saved us again. She shook her head. We're not done yet. He looked at her. Why fight so hard for strangers? She looked up at the stars. Because once, no one came for us, and we swore. We'd never let that happen again. Far away, deep in the Kryn war chambers, General Saavik listened to the report. For cruisers lost, troops defeated, Earth ships unharmed. He slammed a fist into the table. Who are these creatures? A silence followed. Then one voice spoke. They are the Deathworlders. And the galaxy was beginning to learn what that meant. The Kryn thought Earth's forces would defend and retreat. They were wrong. Earth didn't retreat. It gathered fire. Now, the Deathworlders were done playing defense. They were bringing the storm, not to scare the Kryn, but to break them. The smoke drifted gently over broken towers. Human engineers worked side by side with alien survivors, setting up supply lines, defense grids, heavier weapons. You're building a fortress, Corlon said as he approached, his body still thin and tired, but his eyes more alive than before. No, Juno said, her voice cold and steady. In Earth's War Command, back in the Sol System, Admiral Lena Stone stood before a massive display of tactical data. The Kryn attack had failed, but that wasn't enough. They'll try again, said General Okoro, standing beside her. Kryn, don't forget failure. They'll return stronger. Then we don't. Wait, Stone replied. We take the war to them. Counselor Roth frowned. We can't start an open war with the Kryn Empire. We're not starting anything, Stone said. We're finishing it. She tapped the display. Prep the fleet. Operation Firewake begins now. Operation Firewake. 3 words that would soon echo across the stars. It was simple and planned. Step 2, strike with overwhelming force. Step 3, leave survivors behind, not Kryn, but witnesses. Let the galaxy see what happens when Earth responds with fire. On board the HSS Warhammer, Captain Juno received her orders. She gathered her team in the war room. We're not staying on Varelia, she said. We're hitting the Kryn hard. Cheers rippled through the squad. You've seen what they do to peaceful species, she continued. Now we show them what we do. Reyes stepped forward. What's the target? Juno tapped the holomap Zarzel. Station, one of their fuel depots. We hit that. We choked them. 3 days later, Earth's fleet dropped from hyperspace at the edge of Kryn territory. They weren't here to spy. They weren't here to warn. They were here to destroy. Multiple Kryn ships detected, Reyes said. 7 vessels in defensive. Orbit, ground base, armed with planetary cannons. Good, Juno replied. More to break. Admiral Stone's voice came through the fleet channel. This is Earth Fleet Command. Commence assault. No mercy, no hesitation. Let the Kryn know. We heard their screams. Dozens of Earth ships surged forward. Fighters launched in waves. Stealth bombers dove toward the planet. Missile bays opened with mechanical precision and ripping fuel tanks apart in a chain explosion. A Kryn captain shouted, "Return fire!" Return, His voice vanished as a railgun round tore through his command bridge. Human shock troops landed in powered burning dot. Within 30, it was silent. But Earth wasn't done. "Send the message," Juno ordered. A satellite was placed in orbit over the wreckage. It broadcast a simple message to every major species in the region. "This is Earth. We do not seek war, but we do not run from it." Virelia called. We answered. The Kryn struck. We struck harder. This is our answer to cruelty. Back on the Kryn. This is terrorism. This is Earth. And now the galaxy is watching them. Savik slammed, a fist on the table. "Send the next wave." "We burn them out?" asked a young Virelian. Beside him, No Corlan said, "For the first time, I feel safe." The young one stared at the firepower and destruction Earth had delivered. "But they are monsters," he whispered. Corlan's voice was calm. "Sometimes monsters are what save us from nightmares." Later, Juno and Reyes stood alone at the edge of a scorched landing zone. They had returned from the mission. Bodies had been counted, fuel reloaded, guns cleaned. The stars above them were quiet, but tension hung in the silence. "They'll come." Again, Reyes said. "I know," Juno replied. "What then?" She looked up at the stars, her jaw tight. "Then we go further. We find their fleet, their worlds, their leaders." She turned. We ended. The war had begun. Earth's fleet had struck hard. But war isn't just about fire, it's about truth. And deep inside a broken Kryn base, Earth's soldiers were about to find something not even the Kryn wanted the galaxy to know. What if the Kryn weren't just conquerors? What if they were hiding something worse? A week had passed since Earth's strike on Zarzel Station. The Kryn had gone silent. No attacks, no transmissions. But Admiral Lena Stone didn't believe. "In silence? It's not peace," she said in the War Command Chamber. "It's preparation. The question is, what are they preparing for?" She stared at the holographic reports. Satellite debris, shipwreckage, sensor distortions around certain Kryn systems. Then she pointed at a flashing red system near the border. "Zarna 5, she said. "We've detected unusual data flow, hidden. Relays, ghost signals. It's not a military base." General Okoro leaned in. "Then what is it?" Stone narrowed her eyes. "That's what we're going to find out." On board the Warhammer, Captain Juno Blake reviewed the new orders. Recon and recover. Reyes raised an eyebrow. "I thought we were bringing fire." "We are," Juno replied. "But fire without aim is chaos. Earth doesn't burn blindly." Warhammer jumped with a small task force, stealth ships, recon drones, and 2 silent destroyers dot their target, a planet called Zarna 5 officially. It was listed by the Kryn as a resource world. Mining storage, but that was a lie. When the fleet arrived, Zarna 5 looked dead. No orbiting ships, no active cannons. Just a gray world covered in ash clouds and cold winds. "Weird," Reyes muttered. "No defenses." "Too easy," Juno replied. "Send in the drones." Minutes later, the drones returned silent, but with footage, and the footage was horrifying. Underground tunnels, giant cages, broken machines, and inside them, aliens. Thin, starving, shackled, not Kryn, other. Species, dozens of them. Slaves, Juno single quotes, as eyes narrowed. As the images played, they weren't just conquering worlds, she whispered. They were harvesting them. Medical labs, surgical rooms, genetic tools. Some prisoners were being studied, others experimented on. Reyes looked sick. "This is a prison, a lab, and a graveyard." Juno stood. "We go in, we bring them out, and we expose everything." The first human team touched down quietly near a mountain pass. The air was cold, the ground cracked like old bones beneath. Their boots as they entered the tunnel system, every wall seemed to whisper. Screams once echoed here. Now, only silence remained. "Stay sharp," Juno said. "Overcomes. If the Kryn left this place standing, it's not because they forgot about it. They moved deeper room by room, hall by hall, and then they found the prisoners. A hidden chamber opened, and the lights flickered on. Aliens of many species stared back in terror. Small ones with pale eyes, tall ones with feathers, weak, tired, broken. But when they saw the human soldiers stall armored, guns in hand, they didn't scream, they knelt, not in fear. You finally came. Medics rushed forward. Food packets, blankets, water, translation devices. Juno knelt beside a thin creature with blue skin. "What is this place?" she asked gently. The alien's voice shook. "They called it the core. Pit. They brought us here after they took our homes. Said we were test subjects. Test subjects? For what?" The alien closed its eyes. They were trying to build something. A weapon, using parts of us. Juno stood, her heart burning. "How many more of these camps are out there?" she asked. "I don't know," the alien said, "but this wasn't the first." Back on the Warhammer, the footage was sent to Earth. Admiral Stone watched it in silence. The Council watched too. So did the colonies, the survivors of Varelia, the galaxy. "Send the footage to every species," Stone said. "Let them all see what the Kryn truly are. No more politics, no more silence." In the Council of Worlds, a storm erupted. Of species shouted. Some cried, some denied, but the images were real. The screams were real. The Kryn hadn't just been conquerors. They were torturers, slavers, genetic thieves. And Earth had caught them on the Kryn capital. General Savix. Advisors panicked. They know. They showed the universe. Our allies are pulling back. Even Kryn civilians had begun to protest in silence. Questions were being asked, so VEK stood in the war chamber, his voice low. "Then we end it all." "What do you mean?" someone asked. "We summoned the Black Legion." The room fell dead quiet. "No one has used them in centuries." "They were never needed," Savik said. "But now, Earth pushes us to the edge." He raised his claw. "Unleash them." Back on Zarna-5, Juno and her soldiers had evacuated over 300 prisoners. The last one, a young, wounded scientist, held something tight in his arms. A small box, a data core. "What is that?" Juno asked. "It holds all their plans," the alien said. "Their future weapon, their final project." Reyes looked at the file name. His voice dropped. "Black Legion Protocol." Juno's eyes went cold, so they are planning something worse. Later, on the deck of the Warhammer, Juno stood with the stars above her. "We're not just fighting an empire," she said quietly. Reyes stood beside her. "We're fighting a machine. A plan. Something dark." She nodded. "Then we fight smarter, we hit harder, and we don't stop." The galaxy was watching. Earth had started as a silent world. Now it was the voice of fire, and the Kryn had just made the mistake of trying to silence it again. The galaxy had seen Earth's fire, but the Kryn something bred for one purpose: kill, without mercy, without fear. The Kryn called them the Black Legion. Earth had never seen anything like them. And now they were coming. Admiral Lena Stone stood in Earth's high command room. Legion protocol activated. "What is it?" Counselor Wraith asked. "Another fleet." Shadows moved. Veins. Massive claws stepped into view. Humanoid, tall, fast, silent. And then it moved. The Kryn soldiers in the room screamed as the thing tore them apart in seconds. They turned on their own. Wraith gasped. "They're not alive," Stone said. To fight the monsters from Earth, on board the Warhammer, Captain Juno Blake sat in silence watching the same footage. "What is that?" Reyes whispered beside her. Juno didn't look away. "That is their final weapon. They're using dead bodies." "No," she said. "That armor," Reyes clenched his fists. "That's evil." In orbit over Varelia, Earth's defense fleet stood ready. Dozens of ships, hundreds of fighters. But something felt wrong. There was no enemy fleet. No warning. Then the alarms rang. Multiple inbound drops, small craft. No energy signals. "Where are they landing?" Juno asked, over COMMs. The reply came cold. "Everywhere. On the ground, just outside a refugee shelter, the Earth cracked from deep below. Black capsules burst from the soil. The first opened a hiss of cold steam. A creature stepped out 8 feet tall, smooth black armor. No eyes. No words, just a low growl. Then it. Others fired the rounds, hit but bounced off, fall back, breaking bones with a single swipe. Then it turned toward the civilians. But before it could move, boom, rocket hit it from the side. Captain Juno appeared, plasma rifle in hand. "Stay behind me," she barked. "We hold the line here." All across the planet, the same thing happened. From under the ground, immune to pain. Earth's soldiers fought back with everything they had: missiles, blades, flame. Some Legion units fell, but too many kept coming in orbit. Replied, "We adapt." She opened a direct channel to all ground forces. New orders: full retreat from exposed zones, pull back to fortified shelters. Heavy artillery authorized to target anything without a heartbeat. Soldiers helped alien children and dragged ammo crates behind them. The Black Legion kept coming. Juno turned and fired a full burst into one of them. "It didn't even slow down," she growled. "We need something bigger." "Like what?" Reyes asked. Suddenly Juno looked up. "Artillery strike on our own position." Reyes blinked. "You're insane. They're closing in. We can't let them break through." She grabbed her comm and called it in. "Fire Team Delta. This is Captain Blake. I want a Hellstrike missile on Grid 7. 30 seconds. Juno looked at Reyes. "Get everyone under cover." The crater swallowed the battlefield, taking the Legion with it. Juno's shield barely held as she crouched behind a concrete wall. The fire faded, the smoke cleared, and in the center of the blast, black limbs twitched. A Legion warrior tried to rise. Half its armor melted. Deployed. 37 destroyed. She looked up there. Adapting to, in the shadows of a ruined Kryn facility, one of the Legion soldiers crouched beside a communication tower. Burns next. The Black Legion came like a storm. They struck from under the ground. They tore through defenses, but Earth survived. Now, the time for war had begun. The galaxy was about to see what humanity does when it stops playing nice. The war room aboard the HSS Warhammer was silent. Captain Juno Blake stood at the center. Legion had been spotted, and more appeared every hour. Reyes entered quietly. "We've confirmed 3 more attacks, 1 on a colony transport, 2 on medical ships." Juno didn't blink. "Casualties over 200 still." She said nothing. Then she spoke soft, sharp, and cold. They made it personal, far above Earth. Admiral Lena Stone addressed the Global Defense Council via encrypted link. "We now believe the Black Legion are not just weapons." "Counselor." Wraith frowned. "So what's your answer, Admiral?" Stone's voice was steel. It was not a warning. It was Earth's fury. 30 warships, 5 dreadnoughts, thousands of drones, the ruins of the shelter. He had seen the humans fight, kill, bleed, die, and now he saw them prepare for something worse. "What happens now?" Lena asked softly. Corlin looked at the sky. "Now," he said, "humanity shows us what happens when monsters threaten their people." Aboard the Warhammer, Juno addressed her crew. "No one's coming to save us," she said, "because we are the ones who answer the call. We are the line between safety and slaughter." Her eyes scanned the soldiers, men and women from Earth, Mars, Luna, Europa. They sent monsters to scare us. She raised her rifle. "We're sending them back as ashes." Earth's fleet dropped out of hyperspace near a massive asteroid field. Coordinates taken from the data core recovered on Zarna 5, buried inside one of those rocks, was the core lab where the Black Legion had been born. "They used this place to create pain," Reyes said. "Let's turn it into a memory." The first wave hit fast. Human bombers flew between the asteroids, revealing Kryn bunkers hidden beneath. Black Legion soldiers poured out, sprinting, tearing through space in armor designed to withstand nukes. But this time, Earth was ready. Juno's squad dropped from orbit in enhanced exo-armor, carrying thermite lances and fusion blades. "You want to play with monsters?" Juno said as she landed in fire. "Let's show them ours." The battle in the core lab was chaos. Black Legion warriors charged forward, but Earth soldiers fought like demons. Explosives tore holes in armored chests. Gravity traps pulled enemies into mines. Sniper fire cracked from every corner. Moved fast, slicing through a hulking Legion brute with a heated sword. "They bleed!" he shouted. "Then we finish it!" Juno yelled. Deep inside the lab, Juno found something chilling. Tanks, hundreds of them, each holding a half-formed Legion, body still growing, still twitching. "Shut it down," she whispered. Corporal Lane approached the control panel. "It's locked by biocode." "Then we don't shut it down," Juno said. "We burn it." Outside, Admiral Stone gave the final order. "All ships fire." On the asteroid level, the sky above the lab turned red. Lasers, missiles, bombardments. The entire rock began to crack. Inside, Juno and her squad ran for the evac zone as explosions shook the ground. The last of the Legion screamed behind them, trapped, burning, broken. They didn't make it out, but Juno did. Just in time, the asteroid exploded into dust. What once gave birth to nightmares was now space debris. Later, in the debriefing chamber, Juno stood before Admiral Stone. "Legion base destroyed," she reported. "No survivors." "And the files?" Stone asked. Juno handed over a chip, recovered before detonation. "One more thing?" She placed a small piece of armor on the table, black cracked, still glowing faintly. "They're trying to evolve," she said. One of them spoke. Stone's eyes narrowed. "Spoke what?" English Juno replied. "It said, 'Earth burns next.'" Stone stood silent for a long time. Then she looked up. "Not if we burn them first." Meanwhile, on a dark moon orbiting a dead world, General Saavik stared at the failure report. The Legion base gone. His prized weapons destroyed, he roared in fury. But then a voice whispered from the shadows, "You rushed the Legion." Out of the dark stepped a taller Kryn, calm, unafraid. "The prototype still lives," the figure said. "The first of the Legion." "And where is it?" Saavik asked. The figure smiled. "On its way to Earth." The Black Legion base was destroyed. Earth had won a battle. Toward Earth, not to fight a war. Extinction. Cities shined. The world, for a moment, felt safe again. But far above, beyond sensor range, something cold drifted toward the blue planet. No engine, no heat, no signal, just a dark pod carrying something built in silence. A monster born not for conquest, but for ending worlds. Admiral Lena Stone stood on the command deck of Earth High Orbital. "Quiet," she muttered. Before anyone could answer, alarms blared. Unidentified object entering low orbit. Speed. Impossibly, it's not moving by propulsion. It's falling. Impact site. Stone's eyes widened. That's where our central AI hub is. At a quiet military base in Colorado. Warning sirens screamed. Soldiers ran outside as the object smashed into the mountains, kicking up a cloud of ash and flame. For 10 seconds, there was silence. Then, a figure stepped out. Black armor, glowing veins, 10 feet tall, was completely unprepared. Inside the base, security teams opened fire. Bullets, lasers, missiles. None of it mattered. The creature moved like death silent, efficient, unstoppable. One by one, defenses fell. The AI Kortha, very system that ran Earth's defense grid. "Blake," she ordered. Seconds later, Juno's face appeared on the holoscreen. "I saw the impact," Juno said. "We're already suiting up." "Listen closely," Stone said. "This isn't like the others. We believe this is the original." Juno nodded. "Then we stop it." Stone's voice dropped. "If it reaches the AI core, our entire defense system collapses. Earth goes dark." Juno's eyes hardened. "Then it won't get that far." 10 minutes later, Drop Team Echo hit the ground near the base ruins. Smoke rose from the crater. Fires burned. No survivors. Juno's boots hit ash as she moved toward the impact site. "Keep eyes open," she said. "Through comes. It's still here." "Contact," Reyes shouted. A blur of black. Metal flew from the trees. One soldier screamed as he was ripped in half. Then chaos. Breaking tanks, dodging fire, Juno launched a grenade. It caught the device mid-rand, threw it back. Only Reyes. Shield saved them from the blast. "We can't kill it like this," he yelled. "Then we don't kill it," Juno shouted back. "We trap it." She tapped her cum. "Bring down the cage." From orbit, a special satellite fired a focused gravity netta field that could lock down anything. It stopped then. Its armor cracked and it spoke. "You are not Deathworlders." Juno froze. "You are still weak." Then the creature unleashed a shockwave of energy. The trap broke. The monster vanished into the smoke. Back on the Warhammer, the mood was tense. Reyes limped to his seat. "We hit it with everything." It still walked away. Juno stared at the empty screen. "We need another plan." A tech nearby spoke up. "Ma'am, we recovered part of its blood." Juno turned, and it's mixed with Kryn DNA. "But also human silence." "Hit the room?" "What?" Juno's fists clenched. They took one of ours. Admiral Stone called the council in emergency session. The footage was shown. The voice of the Legion was played. Earth had been warned. You are not Deathworlders. Start this war, but we will end it. She looked into the camera. Orders went out. Full global lockdown. AI systems moved to backup cores. The fleet began regrouping near Mars. A new weapon was prepared, Project Thunderstriker. Railguns so large it could tear moons apart. But there was one mission that couldn't. Wait. Juno and Reyes were going after the prototype. This wasn't war anymore. This was personal, far away. From a child's toy it had crushed. It stared at it for a long moment. Then, the monster was on Earth, the prototype of the Black Legion, born from Kryn science and stolen human blood. It didn't just kill, it remembered light. It remembered being something else. Now it moved through Earth like a shadow of death and humanity. Humanity wasn't running this time. Earth was the trap. The city of Phoenix had been cleared. Not a soul in sight, no vehicles, no sounds, no lights, but hidden beneath the streets. Earth's most elite forces waited, snipers in towers, tanks under camouflage, drone swarms in the air. And at the center of it, Al Captain Juno, Blake. This ends here, she said. Reyes stood beside her, armor scorched from the last battle. I don't think it knows fear, he muttered. Juno shook her head. It doesn't have to fear, it just needs to fall. In Earth's orbital station, Admiral Lena Stone watched every live feed. Thunderstrike cannon charged, the weapons officer said. Keep it locked on the city center, Stone replied. If this thing breaks through our trap, we turn the city into glass. Counselor Wraith's voice crackled over the channel. An entire city. Stone's face was stone cold. Better one city lost than a world. The prototype arrived just after sunset. No dropship, no warning. It walked calmly down the main highway. Slow, tall, silent, civilians. Across the planet watched the feed in real time. Their final enemy had arrived. Black armor, glowing veins, human shape, but no soul until it stopped, looked up at the sky, and spoke. I was made from your flesh, from your strength, but now I am your end. Then it charged. Snipers opened. Fire, explosives triggered, shock traps snapped. Nothing slowed it down. It tore through tanks, crushed steel, swatted drones like flies. Reyes launched 3 grenades. It's coming too fast. Juno activated the trap. Dozens of gravity anchors slammed into the ground. The prototype stopped mid-run, caught between forces. For a second, it stumbled. Juno didn't waste it. She sprinted forward, dragging a high-voltage cable the size of a tree trunk. Hey, she shouted. Remember me? The prototype turned boom. She slammed the cable into its back. Electricity screamed. Its body convulsed. I remember light, it whispered. Juno shouted over the sound. Then remember? This? But even lightning couldn't hold it. The creature roared, broke free, and backhanded her across the pavement. She rolled once, twice, and didn't get up. Juno, Reyes ran to her, firing every shot he had left. The prototype turned to finish her until a sound filled the air. A deep, humming noise. Stone's voice came through the comms, firing Thunderstrike. High above, in Earth's orbit, the cannon fired dot. It wasn't just a beam, it was a lance of pure energy, wide as a building, hot as a star. It struck the center of Phoenix like a god's fist. The ground exploded, buildings vaporized. The sky turned, white dot, and in the middle of it all, the prototype burned, silence, dust, ash, Reyes stood, shielding Juno's body as debris rained down. When it cleared, the monster was gone, nothing left but melted stone. Juno opened one eye, groaning. Did we win? Reyes smiled. You tell me. Back in orbit, Admiral Stone lowered her head. All units, she said, stand down. Target eliminated. Earth is safe. Cheers broke out across every station on every colony. Every alien world that had begged for help, Earth had answered. And now, the galaxy knew what Deathworlders could do. 3 days later, a memorial was held in Phoenix. The city would rebuild, but the message would remain. A statue was raised at the impact site, not of a soldier, but of a young child holding Earth's flag, facing the stars. Corlan, The Varelian survivor stood beside Laena as they watched the ceremony from orbit. They didn't just fight, Laena whispered. They became what the galaxy needed, Corlan said. Not conquerors, not killers, not monsters. He looked down at Earth. They became hope. In Earth's war archive, a final file was saved. Operation Deathworld Requiem status, complete threat level, extinguished outcome, victory, but at the bottom of the file, a single line had been added. If they come again, we will answer louder.